It shouldn't be where the conversation starts. We'd rather get to know you a little more because you see, we'd really like to make Hogan's your jewelry store for life. We're on Main Street, M32 in downtown Gaylord. Hogan's Jewelers.
Otsego County Sportsplex is your best place for recreation and fitness in northern Michigan. With a beautiful swimming pool, incredible hockey rink, and many classes like karate, yoga, and spinning, Otsego County Sportsplex has activities for all. Reserve the pickleball court or just come by and walk the track. For classes and lessons, space is limited, so call 989-731-3546 today. That's 989-731-3546 or visit ocsportsplex.com.
Good morning, Northern Michigan, and welcome to Friday Faceoff here on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Jerry Coyne is live in studio with Rich Calkins. Good morning, Rich. How are you?
Good morning, Jerry. Doing just fine. The voice is beat up a little bit, but I feel fine.
Well, I knew you told me yesterday you had a couple of voice problems, so we decided we'd get a professional voice to talk about hockey. Paul Woods joining us on the phone. Woodsy, how are you?
I got a voice problem too, Jerry. I really can't speak much this morning.
Well,
I'm good.
Hang up.
Sorry, Rich. I understand it though. It's an awful feeling.
Yeah, it is for sure, Paul.
Stop. Stop. Don't, Paul. The Wings were looking so good there, and I know it's an up and down league, but I really thought last night's game was a must-win for the Wings. They really poured on the shots, but ended up losing 4-2.
Yeah, it's frustration now. It's 4 consecutive losses. But the injury bug, Jerry and Rich, it definitely hit us. And center icemen in hockey are very important. But we lost 2 in Rasmussen and Andrew Kopp. And Michael came back last night and stuff, and he had some good moments in that game. But on that third line, but that's had an effect on us. But amazingly, we're right there. We're still there. We're just 1 point out of the playoffs. 20 games left to go. So it's going to be a while to finish, but the injuries have taken a toll on the Red Wings.
Yeah, Paul, so many teams bunched up in that for those 2 wild card positions. Even before this little swoon, Rich and I have been talking about the fact that the Wings are in the playoffs now. They've got to win.
Yeah, it's like I say, we've had some good stretches and stuff, and it's been a big difference since Todd McClellan took over as the coach. But yeah, you've got 5 teams now separated by 2 points, and I think it's come down now to Columbus, Ottawa, Rangers, Detroit, and Montreal. Those 5 I think have a chance to get in, but it's going to be a battle. But as I keep saying, we just it's taken an effect on us right now, and we played like last night really good in the first period, and then we fell back in the second and third period, and it cost us the 2 points.
Yeah, they could have. I don't know. It seems to me, Paul. You mentioned the injury bug. With how good Dylan Larkin looked in the Four Nations Cup and came back really energized, both he and Lucas Raymond seemed to have that energy. That seems to have kind of waned a little bit, and now Larkin is a marked man. Like he's always been like at the top of the list of your scouting report, but he's really getting bumped around.
Well, and the thing, Jerry, too, is like what those guys talking to someone last night here as we landed here in Washington. But what guys actually needed was a break, the All-Star break. Usually it's a time to sort of catch your breath, get back going again, and get ready for the final 25 games. But instead, they got put into this situation where, again, it was like probably the highest level of hockey they've ever played. Yeah. So it's draining, and I think that's what happened. But Dylan looked a lot better like these last 2 games, especially last night in the first period. He looked a lot better, a lot more energy and stuff. And of course, we need him and Lucas Raymond. But what I'm saying about the injuries with Andrew Kopp really didn't start the season well. But when Todd McClellan took over the coaching, he really got back to becoming the player he was back in his earlier days with the Winnipeg Jets. And all of a sudden, that became a very good line with Ian DeBrincat and Patrick Kane. Then we had those 2 lines at the top that were really producing, and then our third and fourth lines were contributing. But since Andrew's gone out, that second line hasn't been effective. Like they're good on the power play, but 5-on-5, we're not getting the same result. And so that's hurt us. And then when Rasmussen went out, it hurt us even more. So it's been a problem. We haven't been able to fill that void. And I was hoping we maybe could do it at the trade deadline, but I think the prices are just so high right now. I just don't see it's going to happen.
Well, that was the next question, Paul. Like, you don't think that Steve is going to make a major move here?
No, I just don't. You know, I've seen some of these prices and stuff, but you know, it's looking that teams want like a first-round draft pick, then they want a player off your roster right now, current, then they want one of your top prospects. Like, it's just too high. But one thing I will say is and I'm going to today is like, it's sort of a funny thing. The teams that have the players that want to move, they control everything and the prices are high. But once you get close to that 3 o'clock deadline,
right,
the pressure switches. It goes the other way. So from 2 to 3 p.m., all of a sudden guys say, well, we better get something for these guys. Now the prices drop. So there still is a chance, but center icemen are very, very difficult, hard to come by. So some have already been moved. There's not many left, and I'm not even sure the ones that are left, if they can make that big a difference.
That's going to be frustrating again for the fans. You know, 2 years ago, Paul, the Wings were right there, and then they lost a couple games right at the trading deadline, and Stevie decided to sell, not buy. And I know we were incensed here, you know, at the time Keith was in the show, and we were, you know, people all over the state were like, well, great, now no playoffs again. They just miss out on a tiebreaker this year. You know, for the sake of the fans, I think he's going to have to make a move or two, especially when you look at some of the moves that the Rangers, some of these teams are moving players all over the place. I don't understand what the Blackhawks did. You know, it's crazy to me.
Well, the Rangers, you know, I don't know either. That's it, but they got them coming and going. And you know, it was a team that was in first place overall in the NHL, and they dropped down out of the playoffs. And they just keep changing and guys and bringing more guys in. So
what the hell?
I'm not sure what they're doing either. But you know, one thing I do to Jerry is that these guys, they do this for a living. You know, all these teams have you know, scouts and stuff that watch. Like you'll have 8 teams that you're going to watch, and they watch these games over and over again. So they have a much better idea what guys can do and how much better the guys that we're looking at are than the guys we've got, if they are. They've got so much more information. So for me, I wanted Ryan O'Reilly. That's the guy I thought would be perfect now for Red Wings. But they're even talking now. They're saying it might be 2 first-round draft picks. Like it's crazy. Like he's in Nashville, but you know he's a really good two-way center iceman. But he's an outstanding penalty killer. And again, it still has been our Achilles heel. We've got to get that fixed. We gave one up again last night, a power play goal again. So I thought, you know, this guy would be perfect, but the price you pay to get him, he's got a couple years left in term, but I don't know.
Well, I tell you,
when it gets down to the prices are just so high.
Yeah, but let's face the facts. We have been screwed on the draft so many times. I'm like, who needs a first round? We end up getting, it doesn't matter where we finish, we get the 11th pick or the 20th pick or whatever. I mean, you know better than anybody how screwed the Wings have been in the draft in the last 5 years.
Yeah, but you know, Jerry and Rich, but if you start to look at the guys that we've gotten this year out of the drafts and stuff that have come up, you know, Albert Johansson, Simon Edmondson.
Edmondson's been good, man.
You know, Marco Kasper, like it's all starting to come together now. So these guys are now they're progressing. It's time to make their move, and that's the thing. Is it worth giving up? Isn't it worth giving up with Danielson down in Grand Rapids and you know Carter Mazur last night? That poor kid. I mean, to be ready for his NHL debut and get injured on the second shift. I mean, talk about frustration. But he's ready to go right now. So we're producing right now. Our younger players have been developed and they're ready to go now. So we've got depth inside the organization. So, you know, do you panic? Do you make a move and bring a guy in, especially if it's only a rental? He's not going to sign long term. Like I don't know. It's hard.
That's a toughie.
Make that decision. But I'm with you. I'm really wanting the Wings to be in the playoffs, but I still think we're there. I think the one thing about it is I keep saying this to people all the time. If we were playing our best game right now and we're losing these 4 games, you're really in trouble then. If you're playing as good as you can play, we're not even close. Like I'd say we're at 60% right now. So let's get it back up to 100% and see where we stand. And I think we can win some games, and then we can still push for that playoff spot.
Yeah, Paul, you're in Washington. They have this guy called Alex Ovechkin there.
Who?
He's
never heard of him.
Unbelievably, potentially going to break the great one, Wayne Gretzky's scoring record.
Well, he's going to break it.
Yeah, whether it's this year or not.
Yeah.
But incredible career for him.
Well, you think of it as age, and you know we all could identify with it, like what it's like to get a little bit older. But I mean, for him to be able to do what he's done, at 39 years old.
Well, coming off a broken
something.
leg.
Yeah, he's just, he's something, and he's got 20 games left and he needs 10 goals. So
Yep.
a goal every second that game, and we'll see what he's got tonight. But the thing I like about him, and I couldn't say this years before, is that he was always a negative player, like in the plus minus
Right.
stuff. But not this year. Now he's turned it around. He's a big plus player, plus providing the offense on the top line, the power play. So, and that team again, like nobody saw it coming. But what a great job of the Washington Capitals. And again, they got in over the Red Wings last year, on the last day of the regular season, and they've built on that. They were busy in the off season, and they're one of the best teams right now in the NHL.
Yeah, that's. I was going to ask you that. They snuck in. Edged out the Wings on the tiebreaker to make the playoffs last year, and then we got just pummeled. They didn't even win a game, right? They got swept. And talk about great changes. How dangerous do you think the Capitals are? And on top of that, the the Lightning are on fire.
Oh my God!
Jesus.
Yeah, the Lightning. I tell you what, that Julian Breezeball. Here's another guy. You're talking about draft pick. He doesn't believe in it. But again, his team's at a certain age right now where it's now or never. Victor Hedman, Braden Point, Kucherov, these guys, it's their window to win right now. So he can be more aggressive. Where maybe in our situation it's not our window to win. But again, the players they added, it's outstanding. Oliver Borkström and Yanni Gord's back in Tampa Bay. Two outstanding pickups by Tampa Bay. And right now, that Atlantic Division, Florida was busy, Tampa Bay was busy, and the Maple Leafs had yet to make a move, and they've got to answer back here sometime today.
Yeah, Paul, you've been involved in professional hockey as a player and now as an analyst for, you're older than the leather pants I have in my closet.
That was never a good look for you.
It was. Hey, I have a butt, buddy. Don't start slagging me in my leather pants, or I'll wear them to the canoe marathon.
No. Okay, I'm good. That's fine. That was a big enough threat right there. No problem. Good.
Thanks, Paul.
But this looks like a trading deadline that we used to have. Remember, every year when the Wings would make the playoffs, Mike Ilitch would come sweeping in, and I know things are different as far as salary cap and everything else. You just can't add superstars. I mean, obviously if you could, they would, but a lot of teams have the mentality that this is the time, but the Wings really don't.
No, I think that's fair. I think that's a good assessment, and I think that's exactly what they're looking at it right now. They just that's that question: are you willing to give up your future just for what's going to happen one playoff run? And
right.
I don't think they're there, but I think Tampa Bay is described as is there. Florida Panthers have made moves. They're there. The Rangers. JT Miller was a good pickup. They're playing better now. Colorado, I think, has really made a lot of. Colorado's a much better team right now. They won big last night. McKinnon, I think he had 5, and Makar had 6 points. And then Edmonton got better as well. And then you got Vegas has improved themselves quietly.
Yeah.
They've got picked up 2 guys. Dallas, the Devils still going to make some moves, I think. And Minnesota, they made a couple of moves, got Gustav Nyquist, but I think they've got some really good injured players coming back, and that'll be a dangerous team. But there's still lots of teams that haven't made moves so far at the deadline.
And the Wings don't have an easy run of it here. I mean, you mentioned that they didn't get a break. Larkin and Raymond in particular, because they were playing on the other teams. They do get a mini break here. They play the Caps tonight, and then they don't play till Monday, so they get the whole weekend off. And maybe that'll help a little bit. But then, the Buffalo's a winnable game. Then they got the Hurricanes and the Knights and the Caps and the Vegas again. I mean, I remember seeing when we were doing the shows during the Four Nations Cup, Paul, that the Red Wings had the hardest schedule left in the NHL, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, it's not so great.
Well, one thing about it is, Jerry, with Rich, is a parity in the NHL now, and even these first place teams like Edmonton now, they won last night in overtime against Montreal, but before that they lost 6 or 7 games.
Right.
I mean, Winnipeg Jets were first overall in the NHL. They lost 3 in a row.
Right.
Like, it's just not the lower tier teams. It's all these teams. It's difficult to maintain it. There's just not much difference between these teams. And, Washington's a good team tonight, but again, if we play our good game, and one thing we've sort of missed too, sort of bad little stretches, our goaltending has sort of
dropped a little bit.
Yep. We've got to get better goaltending. And it's been a while now since a goaltender won a game for us, but I got a good feeling tonight. I think Cam Kelp is going to come back in, and I think he's going to be real good in goal. He's going to give us a chance to win that hockey game. And then we got to get back home, as you mentioned, but we're going to leave Sunday because we're going to play in Ottawa on Monday.
Yeah.
And that is a very, very important game.
Yeah, they're right in there with us and the points. The thing that I really want to keep an eye on, Paul, I don't know if you listen to much sports talk radio, Valenti and our buddies down there at the Ticket, but lately, especially during this swoon, a lot of people are talking about the lack of physicality of this hockey team, and they're going to play a team in the Capitals that is about as physical as anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, we know, Jerry, and the thing about it is, like, if you've got to play to your strength, and obviously that's not the strength of the Red Wings. They don't have those guys that can get involved in that kind of stuff. But what you can do, and again, is what the Wings can do, is utilize the speed. And
right.
What big and heavy guys don't like is having to move your feet all the time. So if you just start playing and just keep the pace, the relentless pace, you'll wear them down, and you'll put the fear of God into them. So, I mean, there's ways to offset that. So that's not our style, but we have to do what we do best. We've got a high skill level here, and guys like DeBrincat and Kane, they're not physical players for sure. And Lucas Raymond, although Lucas actually has done pretty good in that department, but so you can offset it. Again, you got to play to your strength, but you're right about the Capitals. They are a big, strong, heavy team.
Paul, what'd you think of the? Was that the first time you'd ever been in the Horseshoe?
Yeah, it was. It was the first time I ever thought. And after watching all those football games, college football games,
yep.
It was something, and it was a beautiful facility and a great experience. Well done by the NHL.
Yeah, it looked great on TV, Rich.
It did.
And then they get screwed with that call.
I mean, call.
Yeah.
How the rink was, and they put the Ohio State O right around it.
It's all right.
It was a natural fit.
There was a lot of Wings fans there.
Yeah.
It was just a great atmosphere, and I think back and stuff that, when Ken and I were talking about, Woody Hayes and coaching Ohio State, and Bo Schembecker with Michigan. I mean, just all those great moments, and it was just something else, but it was magical, just what happened there and stuff like that, and it was just what a great experience.
Yeah, I've been thrown out of that stadium twice. So
Probably well deserved, Jerry.
No, it wasn't, Paul. Not at all. If you wear maize and blue into that stadium during the Michigan-Ohio State game, you're a marked man, whether you're on the field or in the stands.
I bet so.
Yeah, but I wanted your. Obviously, you've been to a few of the outdoor games, and the two biggest ones ever, because the one at U of M a few years ago, 110,000, and then 95,000. Did you ever think growing up
oh my God.
that you'd see 100,000 people at a hockey
game? My hometown, I think it was 4,000 people, 4,500 people. I knew most of them, and it was just it's staggering. When you really see it. When I was actually a kid playing, I went to Quebec TV tournament and stuff from our hometown, and like I said, we were 4,500, and we're playing in front of 12,000 people at this Quebec PB tournament. It was it was just an amazing, difference in what you're used to. But just the whole environment of that game and stuff, like the night before, and the fans and stuff, just walking around down that downtown area, it was really something else. And like I said, I can never get enough of that. It just brings back so many memories of just skating outdoors as a kid growing up.
Yeah, that was one of the really smart. Gary Bettman gets a lot of crap, but when they put these outdoor games, although they've lost the New Year's Eve one or New Year's Day because the NFL, who's going to watch this game?
Right. Stole it.
Yeah. And that's why they moved this outdoors, and they got a break too with the weather, right? Because it was super warm when you got down there the day before.
Yeah, and then all of a sudden it got cold and stuff, and it was nice. It was perfect for that. But he's done a good job as far as Batman. And I remember when he first came in, but the things he did with that salary cap. I mean, we have parity in the NHL.
Yep.
There's very few teams that don't have a chance to win games on a nightly basis, and it's not where you start playing 25% of your schedule, and already you got no chance to make the playoffs. So he's really done a good job on that. And again, the rule change, I think, really helped the NHL as well. And you guys remember back in earlier, about 20, 30 years ago, in that neutral zone trap, that was pathetic. That was some of the worst hockey I've ever seen.
Yeah, no doubt.
I mean, there was no compete level at all. It was just dump it in, dump it out. It was just boring, and they took the red line out. They made rule changes, and the NHL game now is just so exciting and so fast and so much fun to watch. So he has done a very good job.
Ken, I got one last question for you. So the Wings are coming off a loss. got to turn right around. You're in Washington already. And the Caps have been sitting there. They haven't played since Wednesday. And, I know there's a lot of, talk in the NBA about guys not playing back-to-backs and everything else. How much of an effect do you think it has in hockey? I mean, obviously the shifts are shorter, but
Right.
Do you see a letdown when teams have to play back-to-backs?
Guys, for me, when I've been playing and stuff, it wasn't the back-to-backs that bothered me. It was the 3 games in 4.
Right.
That was the one that just seemed to get really. It took it. Your energy level was down, and you just were in more survival mode. So no, I don't think it's going to be a problem tonight again. And again, these are desperate times right now.
Sure.
So, we got to win every possible game, and we got to probably go something like 13-7 these last 20 games. So
Against
we can't afford too many losses. So we just got to do it. But like I keep saying, like we have a long ways to go. We just got to get up to our level the way we were. We had those 2 7-game winning streaks, and a lot of it's going to start in goal. Get a big game from Talbot tonight, get things back on track, and steal one tonight, and go into Ottawa and beat them Monday.
Well, Paul, nobody knows more about the Red Wings than you do. Thanks so much for taking time. And, you're traveling. You're always so kind to spend some time with us, especially when Rich sounds like a rusty chainsaw.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure, guys. And I'm gonna be up there. I think probably about 2-3 days each week this summer. So I'm gonna look you guys up and see you. But I really appreciate it and enjoy myself coming on.
You're the best, Paul. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Paul.
Take care, guys.
All right.
How lucky are we?
You couldn't be luckier to help, with the Red Wings, having Keith Gave here for years, and then having Paul Woods, the color guy that's been there forever, does such a great job. So invested.
And always bringing the positive mojo. I'm like,
always.
I want to jump off the bridge.
He is Mr. Optimistic.
Oh, he always has been.
Always.
Even like a few years ago when they
Yes,
were the worst
when
team
they
in
had
the
no
league.
chance.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think there's a chance.
We're going to win the next 19 and get right in there.
We're right there. We're right there.
But you look at their schedule and it is brutal.
Brutal.
So they're going to have to play. I don't know.
Going into the Four Nations break, though, it didn't matter who we were playing because we played with that confidence. It's like people were like, "Oh no, the Red Wings are coming to town," for that period of time. But since we've come out of that, now all of a sudden they've lost a little bit of confidence. They got to just get that back.
Yeah, I mean, last night was a game they really had to win. Utah on the road. And they tried their, like I said, 40 shots to 19. How do you lose a hockey game 4-2 when you only give up 14 shots?
That one defensive lapse where 3 guys were watching the puck in the corner and they let a Utah player leak behind them for an open shot at one-on-one with the goaltender, and that was killer. Yeah,
I mean they there's such a thing as puck luck. And when you hit the skids a little bit, your puck luck doesn't work out. Every game huge going forward. Absolutely. And that game you can hear tonight on Up North Sports Radio, 7:00. The Wings and the Capitals. Hopefully Ovechkin doesn't get a hat trick versus us. I mean, he's having an amazing season. He and LeBron James have got something going on.
They do.
All right, we'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. It's time for Destination MLB.
Dreaming of the sun and sand? TVC Cherry Capital Airport will take you there. Florida beaches, the Caribbean, or the links in Phoenix? Fly nonstop on Allegiant or with just one stop on American, Delta, or United. Seats are filling up fast. Up to the minute flight details at tvcairport.com.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2025 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite Northern Michigan businesses, organizations, and professionals as Simply the Best. Nominate once daily in each category through Friday, May 9th. In 2024, Simply the Best broke records with nearly 15,000 nominations and more than 29,000 votes. Help your favorites stand out above the rest. Voting begins May 12th. So nominate now at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Friday, April 4th at Soaring Eagle Casino. Los Lobos and Los Lonely Boys.
I've been lost in my own place.
The Brotherhood Tour. Tickets start at $47 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office and etix.com.
Last night
April 4th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. East LA meets Texican, The Brotherhood Tour, Los Lobos, and Los Lonely Boys. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Hey, it's Anthony Bellino from Spin on Sports, Michigan's Sports Dog Morning Show on the Great Voice Radio Network. Heard live weekday mornings from 6 to 9 right here on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY. Whether it's Tigers, Pistons, Red Wings, Lions, Michigan State, the Big Ten, the Mid-American Conference, all the headlines, all the stories, and always Michigan teams first. It's all right here on Spin on Sports, weekday mornings from 6 to 9 on the Great Voice Radio Network. Heard locally on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 WGRY.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio. It's time for Destination NHL. Kevin Klein, the director at tvcairport.com, otherwise known as Cherry Capital Airport, an extraordinarily busy Cherry Capital Airport. You know, Kevin, I'm going to need a better pathway to my studio. I got run over yesterday.
Jerry, that means everybody's flying. It's time to go.
Well, we know everybody's flying.
What?
I said we know everybody's flying.
Well, you know, it's great things that happen when people want to go and travel. You know, I actually spent the last 2 days on the road flying to see Sun Country Airlines at their headquarters in Minneapolis, and then I got on board in Minneapolis and flew down to Atlanta to see Delta Airlines to talk about our great upcoming summer schedules that we're going to have with our 20 nonstop destinations. And so, hey, that's what it's all about. Northern Michigan's flying, and we're getting to our busy time with spring break coming up, and you know we have great fares. If you wanted to jump on a plane right now this weekend to head to Florida, you know you can go to Tampa, St. Pete for a week here for $250 round trip.
Yeah, and that would still put you about a 55-minute car ride to go see the Tigers.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. And you know, I just might do that. Hey, Jerry, we got to talk faster here. We got to get going. I think I got a flight to catch.
Hey, can you just show your badge and show up on a plane?
I wish. Not me. I pay full fare and sit in the back. So.
Well, they might let you fly for free if you didn't talk so much.
Hey, I'm only promoting what we have.
Who's
and, you know, when we look at the wing schedules coming up here, you know, I'm going to start talking about what's going on in Carolina on the 14th. You know, you've got United at 324. So that's a quick trip. You know, being this last minute, that's a great price. Capitals are a little bit more expensive, you know, going $749. Vegas is $400. You know, Colorado's $500. St. Louis, $420. So some things coming up. But remember, we talk about the Canadian trips and how expensive they've been. You know, over $1,000. Montreal is only $672. And then as we get towards the end of the season, it's only $548 to go to see the Toronto Maple Leafs. So, you know, we've got some hot things. And then in the middle, don't forget the Florida trips, you know, seeing the Lightning at $253.
Right.
And going to Fort Lauderdale, seeing the, you know, when they go get the Panthers at $202.
Well, let's go back.
Got some awesome fares.
Let's go backwards just a second, Kevin. You mentioned the Vegas trip. And that game is March 22nd. That's a Saturday. So you might target that, look back out a couple days because you want the 4-day, right? You and I have had this discussion. You can only spend 4 days in Vegas. You got to get out of there by then. But
your body can't take it.
But forget spring break down in Florida. Go to Vegas. See, I don't know if you've ever seen a Golden Knights hockey game, but they do professional hockey unlike anyone else. I mean, it is a party in there. They actually have a casino and a disco in the arena. So and
disco?
Yes, they have a
disco. Got your 70s, John Travolta.
Well, no, I'm talking about a Vegas disco, Kevin. No, it's not. There is a mirrored ball. There's like 2,000 of them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So And the Knights and the Wings are both in the playoff hunt. So, it might be 400 if you move the dates around. You're better at it than I am. But I would take a long, hard look at going to Vegas at the end of March. The NCAA tournament will be going on, Rich. So you can get into sports books and start betting college basketball. Kev, I'm going to need a couple of bucks from you, and I'm going to Vegas.
All right. As long as you can put the bet down on a winner.
Which of you got? What, 3 carriers that you can pick from to get to Vegas from Cherry Capital Airport, right?
Absolutely. And you've got United, you've got American, you've got Delta.
Right.
That is all going to get you there with either one-stop connection over their major hubs. And when you look at that, United's the cheapest one right now at that $400, but all of them are going to be right there and competitive with that market. So one stop over Chicago into Vegas, that's going to be awesome. Later in the month, I'm going to head out, or actually the first week of April, I'm going to head out to Phoenix to meet with a bunch of airlines at a conference, and so I'm flying Delta out there and got a great fare to do that. So, it's when you're looking to go and travel and making it convenient, I hit 2 major cities in less than 24 hours because of the convenience of air travel.
Yeah.
And that is just awesome. And everybody says, what about weather? I'm going to tell you, Minneapolis was in the middle of a snowstorm when I landed, and they handled it great. And so off we go, and into Atlanta. So the ease of air travel is still there.
Yeah, I'm going to let you go, Kev, but that Vegas trip is followed one day later by a trip to Salt Lake City, and then right after that to Colorado. So you can do a little puddle jumping starting from Vegas, and hopefully bring the Wings some victories on the road. Kevin, what's that website?
TBCairport.com.
The great Kevin Klein. Thank you so much, sir. We'll talk to you next week.
See you next week.
Yep. Yeah, I wish Kevin would relax.
Yeah, he is a walking good time. That's what Kevin Klein is.
All right. You know what? We're right up against it, so we'll just we've got a lot of sports to cover. Pistons got a big game tonight. Michigan State wrapping up a Big Ten championship. So we're excited to talk about the state of Michigan and college and professional basketball heading to the playoffs. Back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by TVCAirport.com.
Sports on the Michigan News Network. Sponsored by Mitch Lyons Wealth.
Steve Yzerman with some big decisions to make, with the Red Wings trending the wrong way at the trade deadline again. It'll arrive at 3 p.m. with the team on a 4-game losing skid and falling out of wildcard position. Head coach Todd McClellan is in wait-and-see mode.
The organization will do whatever they can to make the team better. Can we find players that fit our team better? Can we find players that will make us better now? Can we find players that will help us with chemistry? That's all talked about all the time.
Detroit will also be back on the ice tonight for the second half of a back-to-back. Michigan hockey hosting the Nittany Lions for the start of their Big Ten tournament. They play at Yost Arena tonight. The Spartans earned byes through the semifinals next weekend. The Wolverines ladies right back on the hardwood tonight as they take on Maryland for the next round of their tourney in Indianapolis. They tip at 2:30 for the quarterfinals. And Cater Montero takes the bump today in Tigers spring ball. Jackson Jobe pitches tomorrow, and Sunday is a Tarek Skubal Day in Lakeland. Chris Villar, Michigan News Network.
Are you tired of seeing your retirement account nosedive? Hi, I'm Mitch Lyons, founder of Mitch Lyons Wealth. Retirement is meant to be enjoyed, but it's hard when you're not sure that your nest egg is protected. At Mitch Lyons Wealth, we create retirements of steel so that our clients can weather any storm. If you're not 100% sure that your retirement account is safe, contact us today for a review. Call 866-85-STEEL. That's 866-857-8335. Or go to MitchLyonsWealth.com. Your best game plan to protect, grow, and win retirement.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding the unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Back to Friday Faceoff here on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by TVCAirport.com. Jerry Coyne, Rich Calkins, live in studio. And Rich, it's pretty easy to figure out what the difference is between Michigan and Michigan State. And it's not talent.
Right.
It's toughness, both physical and mental toughness. And unfortunately, I think we're going to see it on display tomorrow. Michigan is just not physically or mentally tough in the waning moments. They were winning, they've had a ton of games, tight games.
Right.
But when they've really had to play in the past couple weeks, since they played Michigan State a couple weeks ago, they've had a lot of, they were lucky to beat Rutgers with a three-pointer.
Right.
They missed that game. They've lost 5 in a row.
Oh, I know. That performance the other night at home was brutal.
Yep.
It just when you watch like Michigan State last night, what they did, and you're right.
Was Trey Hallman tough?
Yeah. Kohler pounding the boards and doing the things that Tom Izzo loves, and I think
this team is really bought in. This Michigan State team is really bought in.
Dusty May is going to get it figured out for Michigan.
I agree with that. Yeah.
But
Trey McKinney's a tough kid. The kid that's coming in from Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
And again, that'll help and all that. But again, he'll get it figured out. But right now, there's a huge difference between State and Michigan.
The most telling thing, and I texted this to Nick because my son Nick, who's a big Michigan basketball fan as well, when Vlad Golden had the ball ripped away from him by that smaller kid on Maryland.
Right.
Vlad Golden looks like a Drago, right?
Exactly.
And he played a great game, don't get me wrong. But the want to, we talked about want to on the Saturday Scoreboard show last week. And I'm not an expert about, I know how hard I worked outworking your talent.
Right.
Dying with each and every play on the floor, and all these state kids are doing this. And I'm not saying Michigan's not playing hard.
Right.
They are playing hard. But Danny Wolf is a little soft to me. I like his game a lot.
Right.
He's probably the guy that most likely to show up in the NBA off this Michigan team. But he's not super tough.
Yeah.
And May doesn't strike me as a guy that really installs toughness. Now, maybe they'll come. Those FAU teams were flying up and down the floor and great offensive sets. And in a tournament, all of a sudden you haven't seen these guys play all year, and they're hard to defend, and it's kind of easy to figure out why they made great tournament runs. But the Big Ten is a
different animal.
Totally different animal, right?
Where physicality is rewarded.
Yeah.
They allow you to play tougher, more physical. Where in Florida at FAU, it was, like you said, it was a track meet. Get up and down, shoot this, do that, a lot of perimeter stuff. But man, in the Big Ten, big guys still rule in the Big Ten.
Yeah, and May said that a couple weeks ago when Big Ten play started. He goes, everybody told me how physical it was. I was surprised.
Sure.
And what was it? Who'd they lose to? They lost to Maryland. Who'd they lose to on Saturday on Saturday last week? Another ranked team. I can't remember who now. They got killed on the boards.
Yeah.
They gave up 18 offensive rebounds for 30 second chance points. And then when they played Maryland on Wednesday, there was a concentrated effort for them to rebound the ball on the defensive end. Right. And they did a great job with it until 5 minutes left in the game. And that happened. The Wolverines had a stretch like that in the beginning of the Big Ten season, where they lost 3 games in a row. Illinois killed them on the boards.
Sure did. Illinois looked really good in that game.
Well, no, they didn't until the very end. I mean, they were. If Michigan hadn't given up so many offensive rebounds in the first half, Illinois would have been blown out of the gym because they missed every shot. They just rebounded them.
put up 93.
The second half, they just, everything came apart for Michigan. And some of that is mental toughness, not physically tough,
Right.
They're looking around. That's the other thing. I mean, Wolf and Golden are really good players. And Golden had a great game in Illinois. His parents were in the gym for the first time.
That was cool.
Yeah. But the whole, I figured that, he would go for 30. I think he did. He had 27. He had a really good game. But he got killed on the boards. And none of the other players rallied around him. When they were winning, when Michigan was winning a lot of these games, somebody would step up at the end of the game and carry him through. Now they're all looking at each other, and there's no go-to guy.
And when you see 2 7-footers in the starting 5, you just automatically assume they're not going to get beat on the boards. But they play a different style. They're not the bangers down low.
No.
And it hurts sometimes.
Yeah, well, there's no doubt. And there's a potential, obviously, I think this game is going to be very telling. I don't know if State's going to have a letdown because they're already Big Ten champs. Right. I don't think that will happen. They're playing at home. They're playing Michigan. Izzo hates U of M. I don't care who's coaching him. His record versus Michigan is incredible. It's like 37-12. Something crazy like that. So there is potential for Michigan to get their barn doors blown out.
Right. And that's a 12 noon tip-off.
Yeah, tomorrow, Sunday.
On Sunday,
yeah. Right. So, like I said, that'll be very telling. Kudos. State has had some teams that were talked about in preseason. That was it 2 years ago? Everybody's like, "This is a Final Four team," and they weren't great. But this is a team that didn't have as much fanfare, but they have bought in all the way. Holloman is just a dog, and the Jackson kid is playing super good now.
Yep, and the outside shooting
has gotten way better.
Willie Mays Akins.
Well, they couldn't make an outside shot, and ever since that first Michigan game, when they were daring them to go ahead and shoot threes, and they did.
They did.
And that's how they beat Michigan. Now their game is way more complete.
It is. Yes, it is.
So and it's the best defensive team in the Big Ten. So that comes in handy.
It sure does. When defense matters.
Yeah, well, no, defense travels. If my shot's not falling, you can still hold your guy to nothing. So kudos to Izzo. You're starting to see a little talk about them in the national. Is this another Tom Izzo final? Going to be in the Final Four?
Right, predicted as second seed in the brackets right now.
Well, if they win the Big Ten championship, is that enough to get them a number 1 seed?
It might be.
It might be.
Yeah.
We'll keep our eyes on that. That Michigan game, that Michigan State game, will be on the radio right here at noon on Sunday if you cannot get in front of a TV. When we return here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, we will talk a little Tiger baseball, and then we'll take a look at the high school basketball quickly coming to an end, but high school basketball season here on Up North Sports Radio. Thanks to our... Oh, you know what? I forgot. Because Lindsay is so busy over at Shanty Creek, it's time for hang time. And tomorrow's the slush cup. That's easy for you to say, JC. Tomorrow's the slush cup. Now, if you haven't been to this slush cup at Shush Mountain, you got to make time for it. Tomorrow's going to be a great day for it. Cold enough to ski, but you don't have to ski. You can just go and watch. You've got skiers and snowboarders attempting to skim a slushy 40-foot-long pond wearing the craziest costumes you can think of. The fun is in the spectating and watching the crashers. Yeah, I'm never trying that.
No.
But I'm happy to laugh.
It's entertainment, though. Good entertainment.
Live entertainment for free. You can go out there and look, and you don't have to do anything. That will be taking place at 2 p.m. behind Ivan's, which is a great bar. If you're one of the brave folks who wants to try to attempt the cross, registration starts at 9 at Ivans, and you know what? It goes quickly, so don't be late if you want to try it. If not, just get in line and laugh. You know what else is happening tomorrow at Shanty Creek and Shush Mountain? The spring season pass sale starts. So if you loved this skiing season, you get the best discounts tomorrow, and tomorrow only, for the 25-26 season passes. I mean, she didn't put here it is. So you can get as low as a pass for $419 for the whole season for adults, and I think it's like half that for kids. So check that out. I don't even think they list the prices, but they might at shantycreek.com. So you can still do a staycation. And next week, they're going to have all their great St. Patty's Day stuff. So go to shantycreek.com. Back after these on Up North Sports Radio.
Listen, do you hear that? That's the sound of wide open spaces at Shanty Creek Resort in Bel Air. The sound of laughter coming from the Alpine Tubing Park. The sound of splashing in the pool. The sound of shushing down Shush Mountain. Here we go outside to play. When it's time for you to enjoy the wide open spaces of northern Michigan, Shanty Creek will be there to welcome you with over 275 lodging options, 42 downhill ski and snowboard runs, and plenty of outdoor fun in Bel Air and online at shantycreek.com.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2025 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite Northern Michigan businesses, organizations, and professionals as Simply the Best. Nominate once daily in each category through Friday, May 9th. In 2024, Simply the Best broke records with nearly 15,000 nominations and more than 29,000 votes. Help your favorites stand out above the rest. Voting begins May 12th. So nominate now at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Dreaming of the sun and sand? TVC Cherry Capital Airport will take you there. Book your summer vacation to 20 nonstop destinations served by all 6 airlines, including Avelo and Sun Country. Now's the time to book your 2025 vacation experience. Check out tvcairport.com. tvcairport.com.
Over 110 million albums sold worldwide. Def Leppard live Friday, July 18th at Soaring Eagle Casino with special guest Collective Soul. Tickets start at $58 and are on sale Saturday, March 8th at the box office or etix.com. Def Leppard rocks the Soaring Eagle Summer Outdoor Concert Series with Collective Soul Friday, July 18th. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by TVCAirport.com. Jerry Coyne, Rich Calkins in studio. Rich, before we get to the Tigers, Pistons, even they lost a toughie to the Clippers. It had to take James Harden going for 50.
Unbelievable, too. Yeah, just when you think that maybe he's lost a step or whatever, but he still got it when he needs it. And I thought that was the game for sure. The Pistons would get out there and win. But hey, you can't win them all, but they're still playing really good basketball.
Yeah, they are on the road tonight. I just wanted to, okay. Damn. Who do they got tonight?
Got to check that out. I was on the Tigers.
So was I. I'm sorry I threw the curveball at you.
But that's okay. But gonna check that out here.
Good radio.
Yeah, I know.
How long does it take?
Well, slow computer. All right. Tonight, the Pistons, they play tomorrow night, actually.
Oh, they're off for 2 days in a row.
Yeah.
My bad. Okay,
Yeah.
so that's why that didn't work out.
Yeah.
Who they got tomorrow?
They have got, we're moving on here. We're moving on.
They are solidly in the 5 spot right now, a game and a half behind the Pacers and the Bucks, and then the Knicks are right there. So the Pistons have been moving up the playoff ladder, and with the Knicks losing Jalen Brunson last night, things could get into a tizzy. Do you have the game?
I do. At Golden State.
I'm sorry, the show is over.
Okay. 8:30.
Yeah, I forgot that. So they're playing the newly energized Golden State Warriors. Should be a great game. Boy, it'd be big if the Pistons could win that game, because Golden State is 9-1 since they got Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, Jimmy Buckets now.
Same thing with the Lakers. Did you see any of that Lakers game last night?
I did not.
Holy cow.
Between Luka and LeBron?
Luka and LeBron, it's scary.
Yeah.
It is scary.
They're still figuring each other out.
No, they're not. They've got it figured out. That is solid. And people were wondering, would LeBron be able to play without the ball? He loves playing without the ball. He's just running around like a kid, and Luka hits him whenever he's open.
He's able to save some energy with not always having to have
But
the ball
when he needs the energy, he runs the floor like an 18-year-old. I've never seen anything like it.
He doesn't have the responsibility of being the quarterback anymore. He could just play free.
Yeah.
And he's loving it. Right?
And Luka is starting to shoot the ball. Yeah. I mean, yeah. And the crazy thing is the exact same thing has happened in Golden State. What Butler has done to help Curry out, give him another reliable scorer on the floor so Curry doesn't have to expend so much energy. It's great. I hope I get the opportunity to see that game tomorrow because Cade Cunningham is playing like a bitch.
I see he's moved up to 5th in MVP in some rankings.
He 39-11 against the Clippers. I mean, Jared Goff. Did you see Jared Goff? There was a whole bunch of Lions and.
They're watching in the stands.
Yeah, in L.A. in the brand new arena in L.A. So, folks. Keep an eyeball on the NBA period. Yeah. It has really been fascinating. The Celtics are playing the Lakers, I think, Sunday. That's going to be must-see NBA TV.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. They hate each other anyways. This is a brand-new regime for the Lakers. And so check that stuff out. Switching gears, the Detroit Tigers are playing I'd love to see some more hitting,
right?
But our starters, the pitchers that are slated to start the season, are pitching magnificently.
They sure are pitching really well. They had the day off yesterday, but the game before, Philadelphia, back-to-back home runs.
Yep.
Including a grand slam. So that was great with the 17-7 win.
Yeah, they blew the lid off there. But Kenta Maeda struck out 5 a couple of days ago.
New pitch, new velocity.
Yep.
It's working well.
He looks really well. Skubal has been really good. Montero goes tonight. They're trying to figure out Montero, who was, after we traded Flaherty, was our second best starting pitcher last year. They're talking about they don't know if they have the space for him because they can send him back to AAA.
Yeah.
So, it's crazy. Colt Keith is killing the ball down there, by the way. He's hitting 368 with a couple home runs. Kerry Carpenter's hitting almost 400. But it's all hit and miss here, like Kreidler's hitting 143. Torkelson hitting 235. You'd really like to see him step that up a little bit.
For sure.
Dylan Dingler, I don't know if he's going to make the squad. He's doing okay. Riley Green, you'd like to see him pick it up. Gleyber Torres, you'd like to see him pick it up. He's only hitting 182.
He did hit a home run.
He did hit a home run.
That's a good sign.
Yeah. But, we're starting to round into shape as we head to the season opener, which is March 27th. They start in L.A. The Dodgers get in the rings. Maybe they can sneak attack them. Skubal's going to be on the mound.
Oh, yeah.
That's going to be, how fired up is he going to be?
Flaherty will start game 2 there, and like a day after receiving his ring and all of that. So
I don't know what the story is for the Japanese, if he's going to start pitching this year yet. I don't know.
I see that.
He hasn't pitched in spring training yet.
Right.
I know that.
He has been doing some bullpen sessions.
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's going to pitch at the beginning of the year.
Right. I think
they don't need him.
Yeah, it's an embarrassment of riches.
Yeah, I mean, he might have to beg his way onto the mound. But one of the cool things about that, Rich, and I know that you're going to want to be there. A lot of you, we're gonna do 2 opening day parties. The opener in Los Angeles is going to be a 7 o'clock start. So from 5 to 7, We're going to be at the brand new Iron Pig in Gaylord.
Very nice.
They have a brand new menu in there, lots of TVs for the games. We're going to be registering to win Tiger tickets. We're going to have that opener, and then the home opener we're going to do at the Silver Dollar, which we've been doing for a number of years. So that's going to be a ton of fun. And I'm expecting big things from the Tigers. If this pitching staff, the starting staff, can match up with the relief staff.
Oh, baby.
Baby is
right.
I
think the Tigers are a 90-win team this year.
That I've seen people project them anywhere from 85 to 90.
Yeah, I truly believe it. If they could get the consistent hitting this year, and these young guys continue to grow and come through and stay away from that darn injury bug, I really do. I like this Tigers team for sure.
Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people like this Tigers team. And we've got a lot of baseball in front of us.
Yeah, we certainly do. We're just a little over halfway, believe it or not, in the spring training season. So, but you're starting to see sending some of the kids down, and so they can get the work that they need. But it's going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, we're jumping on the phone here with James Cook. James, hold on a second. James Cook from the Traverse City Record Eagle joining us. And James, we're down to about 2 more phone calls with you.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the basketball season here to go, and that's winding down for a lot of teams.
Well, if on the boys' side, it looks like just McBain left from our area.
Yeah, McBain and Bel Air.
Bel Air, right. Yeah, Bel Air beat Traverse City Christian.
Yes.
Quite handily, by the way. I don't know if were you at that game by any chance, James?
Yeah, I was at that game. It was a little closer than it looked.
Okay.
Bel Air had a little bit of a little spurt in the second quarter to get a lead, to get it about to, I think, 10-ish, and then it just kind of stayed there. And then Bel Air hit some free throws in the last few minutes to make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, that's too bad. I mean, kudos to Traverse City Christian for winning their first district ever, but I thought they might have been targeted for a little bit more success, but it looks like Bel Air is going to be carrying the banner, hopefully. Who do they got next?
They get Fowler.
Oh
Fowler.
Boy. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be a tall order.
Yeah, at Houghton Lake on Tuesday.
Oh, really? Well, that's good.
Yeah. Hey, James.
Not too far.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of these West Michigan or Western UP teams continue to shine with like Kingsford and Ishpeming Westwood.
Yeah. Ishpeming, they shocked Glen Lake.
Sure did.
And I just heard that Glen Lake had just kind of its worst game of the season at the worst time.
Mm-hmm. That happens
in that game. So
see the Detroit Lions versus the Commanders.
Yeah, and they had to travel all the way up to the Sioux to play that game.
Yeah, that sucks.
And it's just a whole bunch of things, with them. So it's disappointing end for them. I imagine that a lot of people in this area were looking forward to seeing them play McBain in the quarterfinals, myself included.
Right.
Because I thought that was a very good matchup between two of the better teams in the area, and just a good matchup of those lineups too. It would have been fun to see Clayton Hooker go up against Jacob Plumont, and just see two of the better big guys in the area go head to head.
Right. Yeah. Earlier in the week, McBain survived in overtime over Pine River. So they didn't play their best game in the first game of regionals, but rebounded well to beat a really tough Beale City team.
Yeah. They kind of had to go through the North or the Highland Conference again during the playoffs. They played like the 3 of the other top teams in the league, on their way to getting here to the quarterfinals. But yeah, I was talking to Bruce Copeman, and he was saying that they didn't have school on Tuesday, and he hates it when that happens. And because the kids just kind of get off their schedule, and it just results in often not your best your best effort, and that's what he kind of thought happened on Tuesday. And I guess the school has a new rule where it used to be if you canceled school, you could still, he said he would still get the kids together at like 10 a.m. and have them go through practice and everything like that. Now the school has a rule where you can't do anything until after 1.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, that's too bad because kids get out of their routines and it just kind of throws it kind of a curveball to them for sure.
Yeah, and they maybe sleep in way longer than they normally would have, and that kind of disrupts things too.
No doubt. Yeah, James, who else have you been, like I said, as usual about this time of year, we really don't have a lot of our teams in our listing area making it forward.
Yeah, we had, the couple of teams that we were talking about that made it through, and Glen Lake lost, TC Christian lost, Harbor Light lost in their regional final 2. Really good season for them with 19 wins, and they're kind of building things up there, and they've got their best player, Landon Jakeways, coming back next year. He averaged over 28 games, so I think things are looking decent for them next season too. TC Christian had just a fantastic year. I mean, they won 23 games, which is a
good
program
year.
record. They won their first district ever. They didn't lose a game at home. Reese Broderick set the state's record for career 3-pointers. So a lot of firsts for them this year. So.
Rich and I were talking. Marquette took care of TC West and then beat Cadillac without too much trouble. Doesn't look like.
Right.
And then they just got handled by Flint Carmen Zaneworth.
I was a little surprised that game wasn't closer, at least.
Yeah, I don't. Did you? You said you listened to it?
I listened to it. Yeah, it was just they were shell shocked. I mean, Flint Carmen Ainsworth just kind of fast broke them and dunked on them. Like they probably had 8 dunks in the game. So, and they were getting out and running and flying, and Marquette had no answers at all, none.
Yeah, I mean, and that's usually, when TC West had that run of really good teams like, 7-8 years ago, with Ryan Hayes and all that kind of stuff. That's what they would run into then. You get into regionals and you run into the Flint or Saginaw team, and
generally speaking, the cream is rising to the crop. I was looking at a Class A basketball. There's a lot of really good teams this year.
Really good.
My Brother Rice Warriors lost by a deuce to UOD Jesuit. These are teams that are ranked in the top 10 in the state.
Good teams.
Yeah, really good teams. And then UOD Jesuit loses to 2 by a Wayne Memorial team that you saw in person. And now Wayne Memorial is going to play Detroit Luther King. It's just 2-point loss. That's basketball, baby.
Yeah, Division I basketball is just crazy. Yeah, crazy.
Yep. And then Castle McBain, I think, goes to Boyne City for its quarterfinal.
Right.
And they'll play Ishpeming Westwood, the team that beat Glen Lake. So.
Well, thank God that they don't. You start meeting in the middle.
Right. Yeah. Some reasonable travel.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. When I was talking to Coach Copeman from McBain last night, he was saying that some people in the school thought that they might change the location of the game, but he didn't think so. He thought it would stay at Boyne City because it's Ishpeming, that they might move it farther north, maybe.
Right.
Some people thought maybe Sheboygan or the Sioux or something like that, but he's obviously hoping that it stays in Boyne City.
I'm looking at this bracket real quick, Rich. Obviously, Cass Tech didn't even make it into the regionals.
I know. How crazy is that?
Well, they did have some injury problems, but this you're talking about a team that was at one point in time ranked number 1 in the state, and they don't even make it out of districts.
Right,
so.
Defending state champs there. So
No, they're not defending state champs. Orchard Lake St. Mary's is.
Okay. Okay.
And they're looking good again. Orchard Lake St. Mary's plays Lance Cruz, and then they'll probably get by that. But then Orchard Lake St. Mary's is going to play the winner of King Wayne Memorial. That'll be a basketball game.
And now, Orchard Lake St. Mary, they're healthy now, right? Everything's back to normal.
McKinney is going to make a huge difference at Michigan.
Yeah.
That kid is the real deal.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen him play, James?
Who you were talking about?
Trey McKinney, from Mr. Basketball from Orchard Lake St. Mary's.
No, I haven't seen him in person.
I would suggest that you watch him. He is. He's as good of a kid that I've seen playing in high school in quite some time. I mean, I wouldn't put him at the level of Chris Webber.
Right.
But he's 6'4". He's growing into his body. He's made a lot of changes to his body. He's made a lot of good changes to his handle now too. So he can get his own shot.
Right.
And he's going to make a big difference at Michigan.
Yeah. And James, we have a whole bunch of girls teams going after.
Yeah, let's get to the ladies
tonight.
Hey, before that, I want to give a shout out to Fick and Sons. Fick and Sons is the proud host of this particular show, the Fick and Sons High School Sportscape Show, proudly supporting high school athletics, and to Rich's delight.
That's right.
They have opened the Dunkin' Donuts and the Michigan Mart, Mitten Mart as it's called, right on the coming off the I-75. I already have made 2 Dunkin' runs for Cheryl.
Yep.
So
I'm a Dunkin' coffee fan myself.
Yeah. So thank you, Fick and Sons. You
right.
can't imagine the joy of some people in Grayling. Check out, all they have to do is by going to fickandsons.com. Go ahead, back to the ladies.
Yeah, James, where are you headed tonight?
Tonight I'm going to be just staying in town. Traverse City Central is hosting Marquette. In the D1 district final here tonight. That's a 6 o'clock game instead of a 7 o'clock.
Okay.
Looking to go there. It's the only one, I think, of all the district games that we have in the area that's a 6 rather than 7. Central's looking to get some revenge. Actually, they lost to Marquette at the beginning of the season when Central had that 0-3 start.
Yeah.
Kind of hiccup to the season, and they've been 15-3 since. So they're looking to get a little bit of revenge for that, and get some trophy hardware there to go to boot. You've got Kingsley is playing Sault Ste. Marie and Boyne City for district title in D2. East Jordan and Harbor Springs are playing. That should be a pretty good game in Mantelona.
Yes.
2 of the leading scorers in the area, Olivia Flynn and Jude Kirkpatrick. Glen Lake is playing Manton in the district final there in Manton. McBain has Everett at Everett. You're getting a lot of these teams that are hosting the district that are playing in the final.
Yeah.
By chance. And then in the Lakes, playing at Rogers City, Hillman at Gaylord St. Mary, Bel Air at Buckley, Leland at Frankfort, and Brethren at Onekama.
Excuse me.
Are your other district championship matchups for tonight. So a lot of good games in a lot of different areas of the.
I'm sorry, James. Who did you say Gaylord St. Mary's was playing?
Hillman.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That should be a good game.
Good game, yeah. Yep. And Frank, like you mentioned, James, Frankfort going for another district crown.
Yeah, going against Leland, a team that they played twice in the regular season. Both fairly close games, and kind of low scoring games. When they play each other, they kind of both get a little deliberate and slow the game down. And I think last time they played, neither team reached 20.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, it was. Both teams were,
pull out the peach baskets.
Both teams were pressing each other, and neither team could really get into the half court. And from what I understand, and it was a pretty low-scoring game, but I guess a decent game to watch because there was a lot of action, just not a lot of buckets.
Right.
That can happen.
Yeah, sure can. Hey, the Roscommon girls are going for a district crown against Oscoda tonight. So good luck to them, the Lady Bucks.
Yeah, so Oscoda's still, I think, undefeated. The girls undefeated, I think, or they were for quite a long time, I think, right?
Wow.
The Oscoda boys.
Okay. Impressive.
I can't remember if it was the boys or the girls.
I doubt it was the boys. Yeah, that would be.
One of them was really good and undefeated for a long, long time. I kept running into it, seeing them pop up in here or there and looking up things.
Right.
For TC Central, the other thing for the girls for TC Central is the schedule's going to work out pretty well for them. They hope in that they host regionals as well, so they could not have to leave town for quite a while.
Oh, that would be huge for sure. Yeah, I'm checking out that Oscoda.
Well, they lost to Alcona. The boys did 41-34 in their district game. So
Oscoda girls are 22-1.
Yeah, the boys were 14-9.
Yeah.
So 22-1.
Yeah, only loss was to the McBain girls.
Oh, okay, there you go.
This is games at Roscommon, by the way. So home court advantage.
How are the Mayo girls?
Still in it.
Yeah.
Yep, they're playing tonight for a district championship.
Yeah, they're still in it. Maya McGregor's playing
all
back
grades.
with the girls team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the boys team for one game.
Yeah, the boys. Was it just one game? It looked like they actually made it into the regionals. They got bounced in the first game of the regionals. Did I see that wrong?
Yeah, but I don't think she played for the boys in the district in the playoffs. I think she had to make a decision whether to play for the boys or the girls.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah. The one game they played her in was the Jack Pine Conference Championship game because the girls weren't playing that night.
Okay.
She had missed a couple of games with injury earlier in the season, so she wasn't going to hit the MHSAA threshold of playing 22 regular season games. So they asked the MHSAA if it was okay, and they said yeah.
Okay.
So she played in that game, came off the bench and scored 7 points, playing against the boys.
Okay.
I wonder if that's the first time anybody ever requested the MHSAA. Hey, we got a girl here. We want to play in the boys and the girls playoffs.
Yeah.
We'll have to. You know what? We're going to have to make a ruling on this.
Yeah, well, a few years ago, Shelby Cade at Buckley, they had a year where her senior year they didn't have enough girls to field a girls basketball team, so they just weren't going to be able to have a season that year, and so she just played for the boys instead.
Okay.
And played a lot, averaged I think around 7 or 8 points a game.
Good for
awesome.
her.
I love that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah, no doubt.
James, I didn't see. I was looking at some of the wrestling stuff. It doesn't look like anybody from Northern Michigan made a state championship in wrestling.
Gaylord kid.
Did
Jaron Bentinger from Gaylord. Yeah.
Oh, did he? Good for him.
Yep, in D2.
Yeah, I know that. I know that family. Good for them. Yeah.
Yeah, second state title in a row for that family because his older brother Ty won one last year.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Very cool.
Yep. They're continuing a strong tradition. That Gaylord wrestling program is top notch.
It sure is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, they had I think 2 other runner-ups for Gaylord, and a couple other runner-ups in the area, and then on the girls' side, Kennedy Wamhoff from Manton was second place in the girls' state final too.
Okay.
Outstanding. James, anything else before we let you go?
No, we're kind of winding down here. I mean, the Bay Reps girls team made it to the state semifinals, and before dropping out on Wednesday, in a close 2-1 game.
That's fantastic.
So,
for just the second year of that program, right?
Yeah. The second year of that team, and making it to the semifinals. That's a pretty nice run.
No, I like that. Yeah, those girls finally finding a place to play in high school and then acquitting themselves quite nicely. So thanks for that information. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
All right, the great James Cook joining us from the Record Eagle. Thanks, bud. I guess one last phone call with you, and then we'll kick you to the curb for a few months.
Yeah. Maybe you'll be talking from Breslin next week.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you, James.
All right, thank you.
See you.
All right.
Bye.
All right, that is the Fick & Sons High School Sports Game Show here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Face-Off. Rich will be in here with the Roadrunner, Randy Long. I have got to head to the Novi Golf Show tomorrow, so I won't be able to be in here, Rich. I hope your voice gets stronger.
Yeah,
I won't be listening. I'm not gonna you text me. I think you can listen to my let the coaches do all the talking.
I will do lots of tea and honey and all kinds of things to get it repaired for tomorrow.
All right. So check that out right here on Up North Sports Radio and on the Up North Sports Radio Facebook page. Some of the coaches that are out a little bit are starting to watch that show because, the signal doesn't go everywhere on this side. It's not nearly as strong as Q1.
But the internet does travel.
Yeah, I heard that. That's good news for that. Yes. And we averaged 850 views for the TC West basketball.
Good year.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
For sure.
That's going to do it for us here. As I mentioned, the Red Wings will be on tonight at 7 o'clock taking on the Capitals. Go Wings. And then on Sunday, we'll have the Wings at 7. We should have the Pistons late game against the Warriors. We've been doing double dipping with live sports here on Up North Sports Radio, and then Sunday at noon, you'll get to hear the Spartans and the Wolverines. That's going to do it for us here on the Fick & Sons High School Sportscape Show. Fick & Sons is your local, competitive, reliable propane provider, but so much more than propane. They provide donuts. They've got Charlie's Country Corner at 4 Mile Road on I-75 outside of Grayling. There's an Arby's there, which has a great fish sandwich. I don't know if you've had their fish sandwich. It's good.
It is very good.
It's very good. They got the convenience store, Super 8 by Wyndham, full-service diesel garage. In Roscoe, they have the Sunny Spot Fuel and Convenience Store. Kalkaska, I love the Kalkaska Bear Lakes Marathon. They've got great pizza and a full liquor department. In Whittemore, the Crossroads Citgo offering gas to include diesel and racing fuel. And now in Grayling with the Dunkin' Donuts, the Mitten Mart, and a Marathon gas station. Check out all they have to offer at fickandsons.com. Back to Infinity Sports Radio. Thanks for listening.
Sign music for Monday, and we're going to do a magical buy or sell. You do not want to miss it next year on Rider Than You.
Good morning, beat freaks. Who's ready to move? Let's start this day right.
Tasha's morning dance parties are meeting rave reviews.
Lose your phones and find your groove.
They need an ops manager to help their community dance the morning away.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. When you sponsor a job on Indeed, it's easier for talented candidates to find it, which makes it easier for you to hire them. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Navy Federal Credit Union can help you dominate debt with a 0% intro APR on credit card balance transfers for 12 months. And right now, you could get $250 when you spend $2,500 using a Cash Rewards or Cash Rewards Plus card. Visit NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission.
Navy Federal is insured by NCUA. After the intro rate expires, variable APRs are 15.15% to 18% based on credit worthiness. Rates are subject to change. ATM fees for cash advances are up to $1 at non-Navy Federal ATMs.
I had the worst dream last night. You were in a car crash, and the kids and I were on our own. We had to move out of the house because I couldn't afford it anymore.
That's awful, hon.
My brother was saying he got life insurance from Ethos. With Ethos, it only took 10 minutes, and he got $2 million in coverage for around $2 a day. It's all online. No medical exam. He just answered a few health questions right from his house.
Ethos, here we come.
Visit getethos.com. That's getethos.com.
Sample rate is a 10-year term life policy for 35-year-old healthy, non-smoking male. Billed monthly.
Empower. Tim collects bobbleheads. A lot of bobbleheads. Baseball bobbleheads, race car bobbleheads, little chihuahua bobbleheads. He's got an entire room strictly for bobbleheads. Does he need them? No. Is his wife mad about it? A little. But Tim works with Empower, and he got good at money, so he can be a little bad. Ooh, horse bobblehead. Classy, Tim. Empower. Invest well, live a little. Start today at empower.com.
Happy Friday! It's Doppler 910 meteorologist Haley Fischetti, and here's a look at today's forecast. Few flurries for areas in the upper peninsula, while areas in the lower peninsula will see bright sunny skies today. Highs are in the mid-20s to low 40s with northwest winds around 8 to 18 miles per hour. Tonight, a few flurries will linger for the UP with partly cloudy skies in the lower peninsula, lows in the low teens to low 20s. On Saturday, partly cloudy skies and a few flakes will try to stick around, upper 20s to upper 30s, and into Sunday with partly cloudy skies and a chance in the upper peninsula. Temperatures will start to warm up into next week, back into the 30s, even some 50s. Follow the details over on 9 and 10 News.
The weather is brought to you by Shanty Creek Resort. Winter fun awaits atop Shush Mountain. Season passes are available now. So check out all your options at shantycreek.com. It's always a beautiful day at Shanty Creek.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance?
There is a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man aged